My beloved brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when you look back and you wonder how you are still standing. You remember the nights when your heart was heavy, when your tears fell silently, when you felt exhausted, not just in your body, but deep inside your soul. You remember the prayers you whispered when no one was listening. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still trying, still holding on. Today, I want to remind you of something very important. You did not come this far to stop now. You survived the hardest chapter of your life, and this is not the moment to quit. Your survival was not by chance. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most important truths you need to understand today is this: you did not survive by accident. What you went through was not random, and the fact that you are still here today is not a coincidence. There were moments when you felt weak, moments when you felt lost, moments when you questioned your own strength and genuinely wondered whether you could continue. You may look back now and tell yourself that you survived simply because you had no other option, but the reality is far deeper than that. You survived because help reached you at times when you did not even realize you were being helped, and support surrounded you when you felt completely alone. There were doors that closed in your life that you begged to stay open, and at the time those closures felt like loss, like rejection, like failure. But those doors did not close to harm you. They closed to protect you. There were people who walked away from your life and you questioned your worth because of it, not realizing that their departure was not meant to punish you, but to make space for what could not enter while they remained. Plans collapsed, opportunities slipped away, paths ended suddenly without explanation, and every one of those moments felt painful and confusing. Yet each of them was quietly redirecting you away from something that would have exhausted you further and towards something you could not yet see. Think about the nights when everything felt too heavy, when your heart carried a weight you could not explain, when even speaking about your pain felt tiring. Think about the moments when you lay awake with thoughts racing, with questions unanswered, with fears sitting silently in your chest, and still you woke up the next day. You found the strength to keep moving forward, even if slowly, even if without confidence, even if with tears still close to the surface. That strength did not come from nowhere. It came because mercy was surrounding you in ways you could not recognize at the time, because protection was placed around your heart even when you felt exposed, and because you were never truly abandoned in your struggle, even when it felt like no one understood. So do not reduce your survival to luck. Do not convince yourself that anyone could have endured what you endured. Many people break under far less pressure, but you are still standing. That alone tells you something important. What you lived through was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you, to strengthen you, and to prepare you for what comes next. And when you finally understand that your survival had meaning, you begin to realize something powerful. If you were carried through the hardest chapter of your life, then you are not meant to stop at the turning point. You are meant to keep going, even now. The pain you endured was preparing you for elevation. My beloved brothers and sisters, when you were living through that painful chapter, it felt as though life was slowly stripping things away from you. Your peace was shaken, your certainty was tested, and sometimes even the people you trusted the most were no longer there. You may have asked yourself why the burden felt so heavy, why the nights felt so long, and why relief did not arrive when you believed you had already endured enough. But understand this carefully. Not every hardship comes to break you, and not every delay is rejection. Some hardships arrive because your heart is being prepared for something it could not yet carry. The loneliness you experienced was not empty. The struggle you lived through was not wasted. There are moments when the heart must be detached from what is temporary before it can be strengthened by what is lasting. That season was teaching you how to stand without constant reassurance, how to keep going without applause, and how to remain sincere even when no one could see your effort. You were being trained in patience, not the patience that is easy and comfortable, but the patience that holds on even when the heart feels tired and the path feels unclear. This is why the Quran speaks directly to people like you, people who feel worn down by difficulty yet are still standing. In Surah Ash-Shar, the reminder comes with clarity and certainty. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Inna ma'al usri yusran. With hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Notice how hardship is mentioned before ease. And notice how the message is repeated. This is not a promise that pain will never touch you. It is a promise that pain is never alone. Ease is already tied to it, already written alongside it, even if your eyes cannot yet see where it is coming from. If you lived through hardship, then relief is already on its way, even if the timing does not match your expectations. What you endured was not meant to leave you bitter. It was meant to make you aware. You became more thoughtful with your heart, more careful with your trust, and more honest with yourself. You learned that not everyone is meant to walk every chapter with you, and not every loss is truly a loss. Some losses are protection, some endings are mercy disguised as pain. Through hardship, you gained discernment, and discernment is a form of wisdom that comfort never teaches. You also discovered a strength within yourself that you did not know existed. You carried weights you never imagined you could carry. You continued when you felt empty. You endured when you felt unseen. That strength did not appear suddenly. It was built slowly through patience in the darkness, through faith in uncertainty, through choosing not to quit even when quitting felt easier. This strength is quiet, but it is deep, and it is exactly the kind of strength required for elevation. So if you are still wondering why that chapter was so heavy, understand this clearly. You were not being pushed away, you were being prepared, you were not being delayed, you were being strengthened. And when the next chapter begins to unfold, you will understand why you had to survive what you survived. Because that pain was not sent to end you, it was sent to raise you. What nearly broke you? My beloved brothers and sisters, there are lessons in life that comfort will never teach you. There are truths that ease will never reveal. Some understandings only arrive when you are pushed to the edge of what you think you can handle. What nearly broke you was not meaningless suffering. It was a classroom. And the lessons you learned there are lessons you would never have learned any other way. When everything was going well, it was easy to trust, it was easy to hope, it was easy to believe that people would always remain the same and that circumstances would always be kind. But hardship has a way of removing illusions gently at first and then firmly when we refuse to see them. You learned, sometimes painfully, that not every promise is meant to last, that not every presence is permanent, and that not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk with you forever. These realizations hurt, but they also freed you. You learned the difference between being surrounded and being supported. You learned that some people are loud in good times and silent in difficult ones. You learned that help does not always come from where you expect it, and sometimes it does not come from people at all. In those moments, when your heart felt exposed and your strength felt low, you were forced to turn inward and upward. You were forced to confront your fears, your expectations, and your reliance on what could fail you. That chapter taught you patience in a way no motivational words ever could. It taught you how to wait without guarantees, how to move forward without clarity, and how to trust even when the outcome was hidden from you. You learned how to sit with unanswered questions without letting them destroy you. You learned how to endure uncertainty without losing your values. This kind of patience is not loud. It does not announce itself, but it changes you permanently. You also learned empathy through pain. Before hardship, it is easy to judge people's reactions, their choices, and their silence. But after you have carried pain quietly, you begin to see people differently. You realize how much is hidden behind smiles. You understand how much weight people carry without speaking about it. This experience softened your heart without weakening it. It made you more aware, more compassionate, and more careful with how you treat others, because you now know how much can be hidden beneath the surface. What nearly broke you also taught you boundaries. You learned that protecting your heart is not selfish. You learned that saying no is sometimes an act of wisdom. You learned that not every door needs to be reopened just because it once existed. These boundaries did not come from arrogance. They came from experience. They came from knowing what it feels like to be drained, overlooked, or hurt, and choosing not to return to places that cost you your peace. And perhaps the most powerful lesson of all is this. You learned that you can survive without the things you once thought you could not live without. You learned that even when everything everything familiar was stripped away, you were still able to stand, you were still able to move forward, you were still able to remain sincere. This realization is both humbling and empowering. It reminds you that your strength was never dependent on circumstances alone. So do not look back at what nearly broke you with resentment alone. Look at it with understanding. That chapter taught you discernment, patience, empathy, and strength. It showed you who you are when everything else is removed. And now that you carry these lessons within you, understand this clearly. You are not the same person who entered that chapter. You are wiser, you are steadier, and you are far more prepared for what lies ahead. This was the turning point, not the end. One of the greatest mistakes we make in moments of hardship is believing that what we are experiencing is the end of our story. Pain has a way of convincing the heart that this chapter will never close, that the weight will never lift, and that life will always feel this heavy. But hardship is rarely the conclusion. More often, it is the turning point. It is the moment where everything begins to change, even though from the outside it looks like everything is falling apart. When you were inside that difficult season, it felt as though you were moving backwards. Plans were collapsing. Progress felt slow or non-existent. You may have looked at others and wondered why their lives seemed to move forward while yours felt stuck. But what you did not realize then is that growth does not always look like movement. Sometimes growth looks like stillness. Sometimes growth looks like waiting. Sometimes growth looks like enduring without understanding. And those moments, as painful as they are often where the deepest transformation takes place. There are seasons where you are not meant to build, achieve, or advance in ways that are visible to others. There are seasons where your only task is to survive with your values intact, to protect your heart from becoming bitter, and to hold on to what is right even when the road feels long. Those seasons may not look impressive, but they are powerful. They are shaping you quietly, preparing you inwardly for what cannot yet be revealed outwardly. You may have felt delayed, but delay does not mean denial. You may have felt forgotten, but being unseen does not mean being abandoned. Some chapters are hidden on purpose because they are doing work within you that cannot be rushed. Strength is being formed, wisdom is settling in, clarity is being developed, and all of this takes time. If it were rushed, it would not last. Think about how different you are now compared to before this hardship began. Your priorities have shifted, your patience has deepened, your understanding of life has matured. You no longer chase everything that once distracted you. You no longer seek validation in the same places. This change did not come from comfort, it came from endurance. And endurance has a way of preparing a person for responsibility, for leadership, and for trust. Many people want ease, but not everyone is ready for what ease requires. Ease comes with responsibility, it comes with gratitude, it comes with awareness. And sometimes a heart must be reshaped before it can carry blessings without losing itself. That painful chapter was not sent to harm you. It was sent to prepare you so that when good arrives, it does not destroy your humility or your faith. So do not see this moment as an ending. Do not let exhaustion convince you that you have reached your limit. You are standing at a turning point, not a dead end. What comes next will not erase what you went through, but it will give it meaning. The hardship you endured will make sense in hindsight. The patience you practiced will reveal its reward, and the strength you built in silence will support you in the chapters ahead. Hold on a little longer, keep going a little further. This was never meant to be the end of your journey. It was meant to be the moment that quietly changed everything. Quitting now would waste everything you endured. My beloved brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in every difficult journey when exhaustion begins to whisper lies into the heart. It tells you that you have done enough, that you have suffered enough, that you have waited long enough, and that perhaps it would be easier to stop trying. This voice does not come when things are easy. It comes when you are already tired, when your strength feels low, when patience feels heavy, and when the road ahead still feels unclear. But this is also the most dangerous moment, because quitting at this stage would mean walking away just after you have already paid the highest price. Think carefully about everything you endured to reach this point. Think about the nights you stayed awake, replaying conversations in your mind, questioning your decisions, questioning your worth, questioning your future. Think about the days you moved forward, even though your heart felt bruised, even though your motivation was gone, even though you felt unseen. You carried yourself through moments you never imagined you could survive. You held on when letting go felt easier. You chose patience when reacting would have felt satisfying. All of that effort, all of that endurance, all of that restraint was not meaningless. It was building something within you that cannot be built through ease. If you quit now, you would not just be stopping your journey, you would be dismissing the strength you already proved you have. You would be telling yourself that the pain you endured was for nothing, when in reality it was shaping you for what comes next. Quitting now would be like walking away just after the storm has passed, without waiting to see what the rain was preparing the ground for. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is not the pain itself, but continuing after the pain when you are tired of being strong. There were moments when you wanted answers but received silence. Moments when you wanted clarity but were given uncertainty. Moments when you wanted reassurance but were asked to trust instead. And yet you continued. You did not have full clarity, but you had just enough strength for the next step. You did not have all the answers, but you had enough patience to wait. That is not weakness. That is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is continuing despite fear, despite fatigue, despite disappointment. Understand this deeply, my dear brothers and sisters. Not everyone reaches the point you have reached. Many people give up earlier. Many people allow bitterness to harden their hearts. Many people lose hope when things do not go their way. But you are still here. That means something. It means you were given the ability to endure because there is something ahead worth enduring for. The journey has already changed you. The struggle has already strengthened you. Walking away now would mean turning your back on the very growth you prayed for during your hardest nights. Sometimes we imagine that relief will arrive in a dramatic way, suddenly changing everything at once. But often, relief arrives quietly. It comes in the form of inner strength. It comes in the form of clarity. It comes in the form of peace with what is and hope for what will be. If you are waiting for life to suddenly become easy before you continue, you may wait longer than necessary. Growth does not require ease. It requires consistency. It requires trust. It requires the decision to keep going even when motivation fades. Reflect on how far you have already come. There was a time when you did not think you would survive that chapter. There was a time when you thought the pain would finish you, and yet it did not. You adapted. You learned, you endured. That same ability that carried you through the worst moments is still within you now. You do not suddenly lose strength just because you feel tired. Fatigue does not erase resilience. It simply tests whether you recognize it. Quitting often feels tempting because it promises immediate relief from effort. But that relief is temporary, and it often comes with regret. Continuing, on the other hand, may feel heavy in the moment, but it leads to peace, to growth, and to a deeper understanding of yourself. The strength you are building now is not just for this situation. It will support you in future challenges, future responsibilities, and future blessings. What you are learning now will serve you long after this chapter is over. Do not underestimate the power of staying patient, staying sincere, staying committed to what is right even when it is difficult. Staying does not mean you are not tired. Staying means you refuse to let tiredness define your decisions. It means you recognize that the version of you who survived so much deserves the chance to see what comes next. So when the thought of quitting crosses your mind, remind yourself of this truth. You have already endured too much to walk away now. You have already grown too much to turn back. You have already proven that you are capable of more than you once believed. This is not the moment to abandon your journey. This is the moment to honor it. Keep going, even if slowly. Keep going, even if quietly. Keep going, because what you survived was not meant to be the end of your story. It was meant to prepare you for the chapters you have not yet seen. You are stronger than you think. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most deceptive feelings in life is the feeling of weakness. It convinces you that you are no longer capable, that you have lost your strength, that you are barely holding on. But feeling weak does not mean you are weak. Feeling tired does not mean you are finished. Feeling overwhelmed does not mean you have failed. In fact, many of the strongest people feel weak precisely because they have been strong for so long without rest, without recognition, and without relief. There were days when you woke up already tired, not because your body was exhausted, but because your heart was carrying too much. You still showed up. You still did what needed to be done. You still tried, even when motivation was gone. That is strength, even if it does not feel like it. Strength is not always loud. It does not always look confident. Sometimes strength is simply choosing not to give up when giving up feels like the easier option. You may compare yourself to others and think they are doing better, that they are stronger, that they are moving forward while you are barely surviving. But what you do not see is that everyone carries a different burden. Everyone is tested in different ways, and the weight you have been carrying is not light. The fact that you are still standing under it, even if you are shaking, even if you are tired, is evidence that you are stronger than you realize. There is a kind of strength that only develops in quiet moments. It grows in silence, in patience, in restraint. It grows when you choose not to react, even though you are hurt. It grows when you choose to keep your heart soft, even though it has been wounded. It grows when you choose to do what is right, even when no one is watching. This strength does not announce itself. It does not seek praise, but it holds a person together when everything else feels like it is falling apart. Think about how many times you thought you could not continue, and yet you did. Think about how many moments you believed you were at your limit, and yet the next day came and you found just enough strength to move forward. That strength did not disappear. It is still within you. You may feel drained now, but being drained does not mean being empty. It means you have been giving from a deep place. There are seasons in life when progress is not measured by achievement, but by endurance, by getting through the day without losing your values, by protecting your heart from bitterness, by refusing to allow hardship to change who you are at your core. These seasons may not look productive to the world, but they are deeply meaningful. They are building a foundation that will support you when life becomes heavier again or when responsibility increases. You must also understand that strength is not constant. No one is strong every day. Even the strongest people have moments when they feel fragile, moments when they question themselves, moments when they feel unsure. This does not disqualify them. It humanizes them. What matters is not how strong you feel, but what you choose to do when you feel weak. Do you withdraw completely, or do you take one small step forward? Do you harden your heart, or do you protect it gently? Do you quit, or do you continue, even if slowly? You have already shown that you can continue even when you are tired. You have already proven that you can survive emotional weight that once felt unbearable. The strength that carried you through your hardest chapter did not vanish. It is part of you now. It has become embedded in your character, in your patience, in your resilience. You may not always feel it, but it is there. Sometimes you need to be reminded that rest is not weakness. Pausing is not failure. Asking for help does not mean you are incapable. Strength also includes knowing when to slow down, when to reflect, and when to allow yourself to heal. You do not have to rush your recovery. You do not have to prove your strength to anyone. The fact that you are still here, still trying, still holding on is proof enough. So on the days when your heart feels heavy, when your motivation feels low, and when the journey feels long, remind yourself of this truth. You are stronger than you think, even now. Even on days when you feel weak, even on days when you doubt yourself. The strength that carried you through the hardest chapter of your life is still within you, quietly supporting you, patiently waiting for you to trust it again. This next chapter requires you to keep walking even when you are tired. There comes a point after hardship where the pain is no longer as sharp, but the exhaustion is still present. The storm may have passed, but the body remembers the rain, the heart remembers the fear. The soul remembers how close it came to giving up. This is often the most misunderstood phase of the journey because people expect you to feel strong again immediately, to feel motivated again quickly, to feel hopeful without hesitation. But healing does not work that way, and growth does not rush the heart. This next chapter of your life is not asking you to be fearless. It is not demanding perfection. It is not expecting you to suddenly forget what you went through. This next chapter is asking you for something much quieter and much more powerful. It is asking you to keep walking. Even if the steps are small, even if the pace is slow, even if the heart still feels cautious, because movement, no matter how gentle, is still movement forward. You may be tempted to pause for too long because resting feels safe. After pain, stillness feels protective. But there is a difference between resting to heal and stopping because of fear. One restores you, the other traps you. The chapter you survived already took enough from you. Do not allow it to take your future as well. You owe it to the version of yourself who cried quietly, who endured silently, who prayed desperately to keep going now that the weight is lighter than it was before. Understand this clearly. Moving forward does not mean forgetting the past. It means carrying the lessons without carrying the wounds. It means remembering what you survived without allowing it to define you forever. It means honoring your pain without living inside it. You are allowed to move on without guilt. You are allowed to hope again without fear. You are allowed to rebuild without explaining yourself to anyone. This next chapter will test you in a different way. It will test your consistency rather than your patience. It will test your trust rather than your endurance. It will ask whether you believe that what carried you through the darkness will also guide you in the light. And this test is quieter, but it is just as important. Because many people survive hardship, but fewer people allow themselves to truly live again afterward. You may still have days when the past feels close, days when memories resurface, days when your heart tightens for no clear reason. Do not be alarmed by this. Healing is not a straight line. It moves forward with pauses, with reflections, with moments of weakness. What matters is not that these moments come, but that you do not let them convince you to stop entirely. Every time you choose to continue despite discomfort, you are rewriting your story. Remember this as well. The strength you built during hardship was not meant to be used only in pain. It was meant to support you in peace. The patience you learned was not meant to be wasted. It was meant to help you grow steadily without rushing into what could harm you. The awareness you gained was not meant to isolate you. It was meant to help you choose wisely, love sincerely, and live with intention. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be for the person you are becoming. Comparing your pace to others will only steal the joy of your progress. Some people run, some people walk, some people pause to breathe, but what matters is that you do not turn back. Forward does not always look impressive. Sometimes forward looks quiet, cautious, and slow, but it is still forward. There will be moments ahead when life feels calm again, and you may find yourself waiting for something to go wrong because calm feels unfamiliar. In those moments, remind yourself that peace is not a trap. It is not something you have to fear. You are allowed to experience ease without suspicion. You are allowed to smile without guilt. You are allowed to rest without waiting for pain to return. This next chapter is not asking you to forget who you were in the hardest chapter. It is asking you to honor that version of yourself by living fully now, by trusting again even if carefully, by hoping again even if gently, by stepping forward even if slowly. Because every step you take now is proof that what you survived did not defeat you. So do not quit at the threshold. Do not stop at the doorway. Do not sit forever at the edge of what could be. You survived the hardest chapter of your life, not so you could remain stuck in survival mode, but so you could learn how to live with wisdom, strength, and faith. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep choosing the next step. The pages ahead are waiting for you, and they carry meaning that only someone who survived could ever truly appreciate. If you have listened until this moment, then pause for a second and recognize something important. Not everyone would have stayed. Not everyone would have had the patience to listen. But you did, and that itself says something about your heart. It tells you that despite everything you have been through, despite the weight you have carried, there is still hope alive inside you. There is still a part of you that believes life can be better, that believes growth is possible, that believes this pain was not meaningless. You survived the hardest chapter of your life, not because you were fearless, not because you were perfect, but because you kept going when it was difficult. You kept choosing patience over despair, trust over bitterness, and endurance over surrender. And that choice, repeated again and again in silence, has brought you to this moment. Do not underestimate how powerful that is. Remember this as you move forward. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience. You are starting from strength that was built quietly. You are starting from wisdom that only hardship can teach. Whatever comes next in your life, you will face it as someone who already knows they can survive, already knows they can endure, and already knows they can keep going even when the path is unclear. So take this reminder with you. Carry it gently in your heart. When days feel heavy again, remember that you have been here before and you made it through. When doubt whispers that you cannot continue, remember that you already did what you once thought was impossible. And when the road ahead feels long, remember that you are not walking it without purpose. You did not survive the hardest chapter of your life just to stop here. You survived it because there is more ahead for you. And whatever that next chapter holds, you are more prepared for it than you realize. O Allah, we come to you with hearts that have been tired but never empty of hope. You know the struggles we carried silently, the tears we shed when no one saw, and the strength it took just to keep going. We ask you to accept every moment of patience, every tear of sincerity, and every effort we made when our hearts felt heavy. O Allah, for those who are listening right now with exhaustion in their souls, place peace in their hearts. For those who feel afraid to move forward, replace their fear with trust. For those who are tired of being strong, grant them gentle relief and quiet strength. Do not allow what they survived to harden their hearts, and do not allow pain to steal their hope. O Allah, help us carry the lessons of hardship without carrying the wounds. Help us move forward without forgetting you. Open doors that bring goodness, close doors that would harm us, and guide us to what is best even when we do not understand the path. Grant us patience when we are tested, gratitude when we are blessed, and clarity when we are confused. O Allah, make what we survived a means of elevation, not regret. Make our future better than our past, and our hearts stronger than our fears. Keep us firm when life becomes difficult again, and never let us feel abandoned in our struggles. We place our trust in you, knowing that you carried us through the darkest chapters and you will guide us through what comes next. Ameen.